That's it. Let me get in my spot over here. Let me squeeze in here. I make sure that the mics are picking up. Log on real quick. Let's make sure that the mics are coming through clear. Bear with us for a second. We want to make sure the audio is picking up. So we're going to check in on his to make sure that we got clear audio. Yep, sounds good. All right, just keep that by you. And then if people join in and leave comments or ask questions, you can kind of. Okay. All right, so we'll start this off with how we do every single week. My weekly weight loss update. So this week my weight actually did not change at all. My weight was 226.4 last Saturday. My weight again is 226.4 exactly. I'm not going to say like I plateaued or hit a wall. It could just be water retention due to the fact that it's been cold and I haven't been sweating like I normally sweat. And then on top of that too, like it's just the difference in weather around here lately. I think I'm just retaining a little bit more water than normally because I notice I look a little puffy in certain areas like my lower body, like shins and stuff like that. So I think that's what's going on with it. But at least that's what I'm going to check it up to. And I'm not going to dramatically change anything up just due to the fact that like I don't think that I've hit a plateau yet. Like it hasn't been long enough to hit a plateau. Like we started the beginning of January and this is towards the end of February. So it's been close to 6 weeks ish that we've been doing this, and it's just like I just don't feel like we've really hit that plateau. We've been tweaking the diet and stuff like that, and I think I got the diet pretty tuned in pretty well now, and I'm getting really close to where I need to be to start dropping 1 pound per week. Because last week I dropped 5 pounds. But that had to be water weight because now this week, like I didn't drop anything. So that's just our weather's been so wonky lately with being hot, cold, hot, cold. I just think it's just affecting me.
You were worried earlier this week that was it like Tuesday, Wednesday, like you had a big drop in weight, and
Yes.
you were thinking that like you weren't eating enough. You were worried that you were going to be like down like another 4 or 5 pounds again. Like, it's too much.
Yeah, it did.
And
It
it
did
kind of
lower
turned
me.
itself around pretty quick.
Yeah, it did raise a red flag because if you lose more than 2 pounds, depending individual and depending on how big you are, right? Obviously, a much larger overweight person can lose a lot more weight very rapidly, a lot
Mm-hmm.
quicker. But someone that's around my body fat, my size, like losing more than 2 pounds a week, 3 pounds a week, you're more likely losing tissue. You're not losing fat and water. You're also losing some muscle mass too. So it's kind of like it's a fine line of like how much are you losing versus how much. And just because you're on a diet and deficit doesn't mean that there's not growth happening too. So a lot of times what can end up happening is you could be looking different in the mirror and the scale's not really moving that much. Like my wife is a pure example of this. Like for a while her number plateaued, right? The scale wasn't moving, but every single week her body looked dramatically different every week, but the scale wasn't moving, so she was getting discouraged. Like my weight's not moving, my weight's not moving. Like I plateaued, this isn't working, this isn't working. It's like, no, it is. Look, your pants are fitting looser, your shirts are fitting looser. Like everything about your body's changing. Just because the scale's not moving doesn't mean anything. You could have retention of water, you could have inflammation, you could be putting on muscle mass too. Now, you're not going to gain a pound of muscle per week while you're losing a pound of fat per week. It doesn't work like that, but there's other factors at play that could be happening that can make it seem like you're not progressing forward if you're constantly looking at the scale. I like to look at the scale every single day, twice a day. I step foot in the morning at the same time, in the evening at the same time, just because I want to see where I'm at in water weight. I know how much I should be in the evening. I know how much I should be in the morning, depending on how much I weigh in the evening. And I know overnight I'm going to lose like 4 to 6 pounds overnight. And if I do lose 4 to 6 pounds overnight, I know I hydrated enough during the day and my hydration is great. If I only lose a pound, pound and a half overnight, I know I didn't drink enough water. If my weight's really, really low in the evening, it's like, oh man, like I'm definitely dehydrated. And the next morning, if I wake up, my weight only moves like a pound or two. I know, like, yeah, I'm definitely dehydrated and I didn't drink enough water, and I need to kind of make sure I'm getting enough fluid in there and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at the scale can be crippling if you're only wanting to see it move. But there's other factors you could look at too to make sure that you're progressing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, this week, Sunday evening, I think I was like 268. Like I went up to about 268. And then by Wednesday morning, I was 259. But from Wednesday morning to today, I was like right at 261 roughly. I can't remember exactly what it was this morning, but it was like 261 ish.
There's
So
what, 7 pounds of fluctuation of water.
yeah, so I it dropped down pretty quick, like fairly a good amount or whatever. But then after Wednesday being a high day or what medium day,
Yeah.
whatever.
We carb cycle. So like when we say high day, medium day, low day, we're talking about our carbs. So it just means that we're adjusting our carbohydrates up and down. Is what we mean to clarify. People don't know. But go on.
Yeah, so like Wednesday was my medium day, and after that day, my weight went from the 259 in the morning to like right around 262 ish, and then from there I've been roughly like 261 in the evening, uh, dipped down to like the 260s, whatever. But I haven't gotten back down to the 259 mark yet. But I'm figuring again, like as I go through the week next week or whatever, I'll probably dip down again and then kind of fluctuate back up. So like tomorrow being my first actual legit high day, or I'll see exactly how that affects me overall and have a better picture going forward. After like, because you've been doing the carb cycling now for a good a number of weeks. I
Well, I
was
was also carb cycling last year too
Mhm.
before I got sick. So
That's right.
it's been a couple of months that I've
Yeah,
been doing it.
and then myself, like I've actually legit put myself on an actual carb cycle starting this past week.
What are your carbs going to be tomorrow? Like, what is your high day looking like?
Uh,
Do you have a number?
I'm gonna aim for like between 700 and 800,
Okay,
and get there. Try
it's a
and
lot
get
of
there
carbs.
in
Lower your protein on that
yeah,
day. Don't try to eat the
yeah,
same amount of protein. Lower your protein.
yeah. Like I said, my goal is more for the carb itself tomorrow rather than the protein itself.
Mm.
The protein I have pretty much the same every day throughout the week. So tomorrow, aiming more for the carb side of things over the protein is more my goal. And then how I gonna go about it? Probably end up eating some bagels. They're for me like they're super simple and easy, and but two of them is 100 carbs, so
Hmm.
it's not terrible, and there's still some protein in there, so it's not bad.
Yeah, 10 grams of protein per bagel. It depends on which ones you
Yeah.
get. So you're talking about 20 grams
Hmm.
for two bagels and stuff. It's not too bad. Just be careful because if they're more wheat based, you can bloat, and then
Yeah.
it can make it harder to eat whenever you get later in the day. Because
Hmm.
the first 2 3 meals, it's easy to go, but man, when you get to that fifth sixth meal, it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
I just got to get it down.
I'll probably get some juice.
That's what I do too. I do cranberry juice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I figure I'll probably get a juice just to kind of help too, and have something to drink with the bread because soft moistened bread is easier to get down.
yeah, that's what I did when I did bagels. I would dip them in my coffee so it'd soften up the bread so I could eat it a lot quicker. Yeah, so my high day is 800 carbs as well too. Is what I do on Sundays, which is tomorrow. So I'll be getting 800 carbohydrates, and I eat a lot of grits, like cheddar grits. Is what I do. So I do close to 400 grams of carbs from grits. And then I'll do another 230 carbs from cranberry juice for the jug that I get. The whole jug is 230. And then I get pretzels, the flat baked ones. For 11 of those, it's 24 carbohydrates with zero fat and almost no protein. So I'll eat those according to fill the rest of my carbohydrate demands for the day. And that'll put me up to 800. And then at the end of the day, I have a cheat meal, and Sunday is my cheat meal day, but I do that at the very end of the day on my high carb day because if I have a low carb day and then I put my cheat meal at the end of a low carb day, I'm going to overeat. And I'm going to overeat a lot. And it's just kind of like I'm just going to keep gorging myself because I'm hungry. So what I do is I strategically put my cheat meal at the end of my high carb day. So when I get there, I'm not hungry. And because I'm not hungry, there's no cravings. So what I normally end up doing is I just grill chicken legs. I do drumsticks and I do vegetables with some corn. I already hit my carbs, so anything over is a plus. So I'll do like carrots, onions, corn, bell peppers, and then I'll do drumsticks is what my cheat meal is. So I get a little bit more fat, not so much carbs, and it's very flavorful. I marinate the chicken and stuff like that, so it feels like I'm eating something I'm not supposed to eat, but it's very close to
Yeah.
what I'm actually eating. But because I'm so full, it doesn't really matter. And that pretty much eliminates my cravings until Wednesday because my low days are Monday, Tuesday, and man, I'm having a hard time catching my breath because I just got done eating. Man, I just feel like my food's trying to digest. So it's like I feel like I'm like fat in the mic. But anyway, so then Monday, Tuesday, I don't have cravings because I just came off of a high carb day. Wednesdays when the cravings start to kick in, but that's my medium carb day. So then I pick my carbs back up on that day, eliminates my cravings. Thursday, Friday, low carb days. Normally in a Friday, cravings start coming. Saturday, it's all day. All day I'm hungry. Like all day Saturday, it's home with the kids, snacks, smelling food. Kids are wanting to eat this, that, and the other. Little bit of a challenge on Saturday. So just stay busy and keep occupied with things and stuff like that. But I know tomorrow, like it's like, yeah, I'm hungry and craving, but it's okay. Tomorrow I won't be so overly full. None of that stuff is going to sound good anyway. So like, that's how I'm doing right now, and it's working. And I know this week my weight stalled. I didn't really lose any weight this week, but I know that's fine. It's not going to stay there. I know it's going to start coming back down. And if it doesn't come back down, that's as simple as adding a little bit of cardio in, because I don't want to adjust my calories down right now. I'm too early into my diet to adjust calories down. So I'll just increase the output by getting on the Stairmaster 3 times a week for maybe 15 minutes a day, 3 times a week. And that should increase the deficit so I start losing weight again. And that's the plan. And speaking of which, I thought this was funny. Got a comment. We live streamed yesterday, and I took my shirt off towards the end of the live stream. I thought this was funny because I wanted to show how fat and pale I was, right? Because it's like, it is what it is. Like, this is what I look like. I'm fat, I'm pale, and I know I need work, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then someone leaves a comment, and they go, look at that gut. You don't look like you're on a cut. Well, what am I supposed to like, am I supposed to already be ripped with a 6-pack and striated everywhere, and then I start my cut? Like where do you start the cut then? Like, normally when people are heavier and chubbier and soft and fluffy, that's when they do their cuts to get hard and sharp and get into shape. It's like, I started at the beginning of January. We're 6 weeks into this. I've already dropped 9 pounds in 6 weeks. That's a little over a pound per week. So I'm doing very well right now as far as it goes for like the 1 poundish per week. Now, I had a huge drop last week of 5 pounds, but I believe that was water weight is what it is. But my weight's coming down how I want it to come down, and I'm doing this until August. So it's like I got 20 more weeks of this. And if I lose a pound a week, every week from now to then, I'll be 206. Last year at the end of July, I hit 206. I didn't have my abs, but my legs were just crazy, striated, lean, deep cuts, massive separation. My legs were amazing. Upper body still lacked a lot, right? I still desired a lot, just size, mass, separation, just everything, abdominals, all of it. But this year, I bulked up. Well, last year, I bulked up to 235, from 206 to 235. And now I'm coming down from 235, trying to get back down to around 205, trying to get back down to where I was last year. Hopefully, leaner at a lower body fat at the same weight, more muscle, less fat. So I bulked up. Now I'm cutting down, and then after August, that's when the bulk's going to start for the rest of the year. So that's what I'm doing. So I just thought that was a pretty funny comment. The whole, you don't look like you're on a cut. Well, what are you supposed to look like when you start a cut? Like tell me what you're supposed to look like. I'd love to know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's going to have their own thoughts and opinions on things, which, of course, but again, we're doing what we can. Like, we're making progress. That's all we can do. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody's going to agree that, like, what you see is what they're going to see kind of things. There's always going to be a difference. But, yeah, like I said, I know I'm in no shape or form, whatever, but I do feel like from where I started to now, like, I look way better than what I started at. I've made progress. I know I've made progress, so...
I think your arms have made the biggest progress. Like your arms, like they definitely like your body part. Like they, especially when you're working out and you get a pump on them, they're massive. Like you have really large arms. If you could just get everything to downsize around them, man, it's like perfect, But I've noticed a huge difference. Now you're always covered up, so I never actually see your frame. But in your clothes, the biggest thing I've noticed is how much size you put on your arms and stuff like that. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, just wear tighter shirts.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's it. I just think your arms are getting bigger. So,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we also kind of changed our training up too. So I started realizing something about myself. Like I don't particularly like bodybuilding. I like bodybuilding, but I don't like your standardized bodybuilding programs these days. Like I listen to all the gurus and self-proclaimed experts. I listen to all the science and all that stuff. And just honestly, that training is so incredibly boring to me. Like, I just can't stick with it. It's just so boring. I just cannot stick to it. And the problem is like, if you can't stick to a program, it doesn't matter how good it is. It's never going to work. Like, you have to find something that works for you by sticking to it. So I love powerlifting. So I'm basing my legs off of my old assistance work for powerlifting. Like I'm not doing squats and deadlifts, but everything else I did for my legs, for my lower body when I was powerlifting to build up my squat and my deadlift is what I'm doing. So I'm doing pretty much a cut and paste powerlifting routine for my lower body because I know that works. I've been there, I've been through the ringer, and I've always had big, powerful legs, and it shows whenever I lean out and I cut. My legs are not my weak point. So going back to a powerlifting routine where I do my accessory work more in a bodybuilding fashion for my accessory work for my legs, that's top notch. Now my upper body, can't powerlift my upper body no more because of my pec. And then the typical standard bodybuilding where you do a slow eccentric with a hold at the bottom and then a controlled concentric with a squeeze at the top and a slow eccentric with a hold. That's just boring to me. Like you move slow and then you rest 2 to 3 minutes and then you move slow, then you rest 2 to 3 minutes and then you move slow. Like it's just not fun. Like I like fast paced, heavy and hard, right? So if I'm powerlifting, I like heavy, explosive, violent, aggressive lifting. If I'm not lifting like that, I like to move. Like I don't want to spend 7 to 10 minutes doing some very slow. Yeah. This is high intensity. There it is. Ooh. That's high intensity. That's boring. I can't train like that. I just can't stick to it, right? I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying it's not effective. I'm not saying you can't be efficient at it, right? Especially if you do progressive overload with it. I think it's very, very useful. But me personally, it just bores me to tears. I don't like it. So doing what we're doing now, we were going back to supersets, and it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back without stop. So it's like our chest and back. We're doing 6 sets of everything we do. I know it's like, oh, that's junk volume. I like it. So I'm using Arnold's philosophy. I love it when people tell me that's not the way it works and you can't do it like that because I like doing it and proving them wrong. And then I can say, oh, well, I did it and it worked. I like that mindset. Don't tell me it's impossible. The children's imaginations are limitless until people tell them, adults tell them you can't do that. Well, why? Well, let them try to figure out a way to do it. Maybe they can until you crush their dreams and spirits, right? So anyway, so I'm going to that mindset and doing it back to back to back. It keeps the volume up. It keeps the pace up. It keeps my heart rate up. I'm breathing heavy the whole entire workout. I'm gasping for air. I'm still progressively increasing the weight every single set, and I'm still trying to shoot for the same amount of reps. Very difficult, very hard to do. Very, very challenging to keep at tempo for doing 4 exercises, 6 sets of each exercise, and going from incline dumbbell press to close grip pull downs back to back to back to back to back without rest and increasing load and keeping the reps the same. It's difficult. It's hard. You're going to breathe heavy. And then without stopping, you move to the next movement. I mean, you're in and out of the gym in an hour, but you probably just did 3 times the work of most people in probably a week, if not 2 weeks, all within an hour. And if you can recover from it, I don't feel like it's overtraining or junk volume, especially if you keep a pump. Like I think the biggest thing about knowing if it's junk volume is if you lose your pump. Like if you can't maintain a pump and you lose your pump, I think that's whenever you start going to the territory of kind of like junk volume. Like, well, you're not getting nothing out of it no more. You lost your pump. But if you can obtain a pump and you can keep the pump the whole entire workout and you don't lose it, like I don't think that's junk volume, right? You're volumizing. You're expanding the muscle by pushing a lot of blood in there. Your heart rate's up, so your heart's pumping and gorging. It's just pumping blood, pumping blood. I mean, the higher your heart rate is, and the more you're using your muscles back to back, the more blood your heart has to pump in that area continuously. So I just don't see any negative to it. Especially, actually, I trained when I was in my early 20s, and I looked amazing in my early 20s. I looked far better in my early 20s than I do now, knowing everything I know now, what all the gurus and self-proclaimed experts say. So I'm just going to go back to training like that because it's working. I like it. It's fun. I can stick to it. I enjoy it.
Sometimes that's what it takes. Yep. Taking it back to the basics for yourself. Just like I said, you've gone and throughout throughout a good while now, like you've tried different things, like figured stuff out for yourself, and just kind of looked at it and taking the time to kind of see it in yourself of like, this is what worked for me. I can try going the route of other people, but again, it's one of those things that we've talked about before too, where there is no one size fits all when it comes to training. So like what works for one person, which might be like the slow negatives, like all that stuff, like that might be what works for a lot of individuals, but for another individual, they might just have to, no, like going slow is not it for me. Like as long as I just keep it moving, like it doesn't matter how the form is, whatever, I can swing it, I can do whatever as long as it goes up and goes back down or whatever, or and I can move it. That's what works for me, kind of thing, and that's how they grow. There's probably a large number of people that grow just like that. So you got to find what's going to work for you no matter what. Like try everything out, give everything a shot, and then once you've kind of done all that and you're just kind of recycling the stuff again, you should have a better idea of like, you know what, when I did this routine, I got some results out of it, but when I did this one, I feel like I got a lot more out of it. So maybe this is the one that works for me, and run that one for longer again.
Yeah, and I think what happens too is a lot of people get caught up on what the Joneses are doing, and then they're afraid to do something different because it's like, well, I don't want to be an outcast. I don't want to be made fun of. I don't want to be told that doesn't work. Or I don't want to be looked at like an idiot. So I'm just going to copy and paste what everyone else is doing because this is what all the popular people do. Like all the oh, this dude has 4 million subscribers, so he must know what he's doing, and this is what everyone else is following, so I have to do what they're doing because if I don't, I'm going to be looked at like I'm an idiot. I don't want to be called an idiot. But if you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing and everyone else looks like shit and you're doing what they're doing and you look like shit, maybe you're all just doing a bunch of shitty workouts that aren't really working. I mean, let's be frank. So if everybody is doing the same thing and everybody doesn't look the same, clearly it's not for everybody. So it's just like, okay, well, you got 4 million people doing the exact same workout, listening to the exact same guy doing the exact same thing, and they all look completely different from one person to the next person, but the majority of them all look like trash. So it's either they're not dieting correctly, they're not applying the program correctly, or they can't stick to it because it doesn't interest them and they don't like doing it, or it's just simply they don't respond to the routine. And I don't want to do what everybody else does because I don't want to look like everybody. I don't like I don't want to look like everybody else. I mean, generally speaking, you can only so basic, right? You pick something up, you put it down, right? Curls. How many variations of curls can you do? You change the tempo, slow to fast, with shorter rest periods, more sets, more reps, less reps, more weight, less reps, more sets, less. So you could change it up some. But generally, a curl is a curl is a curl is a curl, right? But what tempo works for you? What rest period works for you? What volume works for you? What frequency works for you? And it doesn't matter how many followers this person has and how, because I promise you, they all sound convincing. Like those influencers are so convincing when they talk. Like you'll listen to one about high volume, you're like, yeah, and then you'll listen to some about high intensity, and you're like, oh wait, yeah, that's it. And then when you're trying to figure out how to get your results, you're trying to figure out who's right, but you're listening to people instead of just looking at your own results and seeing what's working for you.
What I think about it too, though, is like learning to take everything that's said with a grain of salt as well. Is the whole case in point of a lot of the people that I've seen through videos and different things like that that are doing like, fitness information, bodybuilding information, and all this stuff, especially nowadays, is you see them talking about how it should be done, but they never show you what they do.
Right.
It's always like you should be doing it like this. This is how you need to do it. Or they're on a video with other people that are training or whatever that are also in fitness and stuff like that. And like, okay, you've been doing it like this, but you should do it like this kind of things, whatever. But those people saying like how you should do it, I don't ever really see anything of like how they specifically actually train with no cameras, no one around or whatever, or what do you actually do? Are you just saying this stuff, or is this actually what you believe in and this is what works and got you to where you are at, your build that you have right now, you doing the exact words that are coming out of your mouth, that's exactly what you do. You do and you stand like this and all those other different things.
The side lat, single cable arm pull.
All those like little guru things that you see, is that what you're doing behind closed doors to get you where you're at? Or are you just doing like everybody else, just you're in there and
Well, and that brings up a valid point too, because also you hear it time and time again. Like what most people do after they're big is not what they did to get big, right? What people do to when they're what you do after you're lean and have abs is not what you did to get lean with abs. Like when you're on a cut, your diet and your cardio is way more aggressive, and your training is way different than when you get down there. And then once you get down there, and you get to your abs, now you have to maintain it. You don't have to do cardio like you were. You don't have to eat like you were, and you don't have to work out like you were. You could do way less and maintain your look. Once you build your size, you can change the way you train to maintain it very minimally. So you could do a lot less and maintain your size. So a lot of times it's like, okay, what you're doing right now that you're all jacked and swole and bulbous, like what you're doing now, is that what you did to get big? Or is that just what sounds good because that's what everyone else is saying? Like what you said, doing those silly little cable behind the back curls. Just do a curl. These little side single arm lateral stretch. I never seen Arnold doing that silly gimmicky stuff like that. And then the thing back then is they would try to do stuff like, hey, how can we wreck our muscle so hard that we're sore? Like nowadays people are saying like, if you're sore, it means that you took your muscle too far and you caused so much damage, you're not going to recover from it in time. You're just not even rebuilding. You're just recovering, and you're never going to rebuild from that, right? And then they say, like, so onset muscle soreness, like onset delayed muscle soreness, doesn't indicate growth. Pumps don't indicate growth. Okay, well, what indicates growth? Mechanical tension over time. Okay. Then back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they didn't listen to none of that malarkey. All they did was just like, hey, what happens if we work up to a weight, and then I'm going to do it as many times as I can, and then you pull 5-pound plates off, and I'm just going to keep going till I can't go, and then you do it again, and just keep stripping the weight down to the bar. Let's try that. All right. Oh man, I like that. I got a big pump, and my arms are hammer trash. What should we call that? Drop set. Okay, yeah, drop set. That's what we'll call it. Hey, let's do some drops today. And that's what they do. They did drop sets until they stopped getting sore from it. They're like, we need to figure something else out because we're not getting sore no more. We're not getting the same pumps we were. Okay, well, what if we did curls, like straight bar curls, and then immediately after we did dumbbell curls, and then immediately after we did hammer curls? All right, yeah, let's do that. Oh, man, I'm so sore, and I got such a good pump yesterday from that. What are we going to call that? Oh, let's call that trisets. Yeah, trisets. Okay, well, and then they came up with constant new things to, like Arnold would say, shock the muscle. You want to shock the muscle. You want to confuse the muscle. You don't want the muscle to learn the program. You want to do something it's not going to be familiar with because you want to be sore. So if you do bench press, incline bench press, decline bench press every single week and you stop getting sore from it, it doesn't mean you can't progress and get better or stronger. Because when I powerlift, I never got sore. I never got sore from powerlifting. Never. Once I did the routine after 3-4 weeks, my soreness was never there. I kept getting stronger. I kept getting more weight in the bar. I kept getting more reps, but I never experienced any soreness. Eating 12,000 calories a day, it's kind of hard to get sore, especially when your body figures out the routine. But if I changed one movement, I was sore like you wouldn't believe. If I did straight bar curls and hammer curls for my biceps and never got sore, and then I went from straight bar curls to dumbbell curls, I would be sore like you wouldn't believe the next day. Is that because my biceps were untrained? Does that mean that they weren't prepared for it? Or does that just mean that I stimulated them a different way? Did I destroy the muscle more than I did with straight bar curls? Doing 135 pounds for 20 reps on straight bar curls, was that more detriment than doing 4 or 5 pound dumbbells, 90 pounds total for a set of 20? But I was sore from dumbbell curls, but I'm not sore from barbell curls. I got a bigger pump whenever I did the dumbbell curls after doing the barbell curls because it's something my body wasn't used to. So you're going to tell me that was like damaging the muscle beyond repair whenever I was doing it with 135 pounds? Where do you draw the line? Like, where does the science, okay, but like chasing the soreness is like Dennis Wolf said many times before, I try to get sore every workout. I try to find training partners that could get me sore. I want to be sore. I change my workouts up to become sore because that lets me know that I'm training hard. And it's almost impossible for me to get sore at this point in the game because how conditioned and how like big I am, like there's almost nothing I can do to get sore no more. So if I do accomplish getting sore, it's a great achievement because I know I just made massive progress. And that dude was competing on the Mr. Olympia stage. So it's just kind of like, take it for what it's worth. But like I said, like there's so much science and everything now. Like I think really you just need to find a program that you love to do and it's fun to do and you enjoy doing it, and then just stick to it till you stop seeing progress. And then figure out if you just need to change the exercises, the sets, the reps, or if you just get burnt out and change it to something else. Like that's what I think you need to do. And that's my biggest problem is I kept trying all these other workouts that all these gurus and all these self-proclaimed experts were claiming were the best, the best, the best, the best, the best. But I never looked my best when I did them. No matter how strict I was, no matter how well I executed, no matter how perfect my form was, no matter how on point my diet was, I never looked my best. But when I was eating 12 ounces of chicken every 2 hours, and that's all I ate throughout the day, and then I was in the gym 6 days a week doing 6 sets of everything I did, supersetting back to back to back to back without stop, oh, I looked way more like a bodybuilder, and I looked way better, way more muscular, and way leaner than I ever have doing this stuff. I had a much lighter body weight, may I add. I had a much lighter body weight for that matter, too. So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, because like what we talked about it, I think last week too. You were saying how like even the guys back in the day when they had the videos and stuff like that recorded of them, and they're lifting these heavier weights, and then they talked about it. And it's like what do you lift? And he's like, I don't lift anything like that. That's just for the cameras,
right?
Kind of thing. And that's what I feel like a lot of stuff nowadays. This is just my opinion on it, but is that a lot of stuff nowadays is the same. It's still the same. Like nothing's really changed. A lot of the information you're getting or whatever is for the cameras. It's
copy
for
paste.
It's for the view and stuff like that. And people are going to look at it, and like I said, there's going to be people that can see that stuff, listen to it, and go like, okay, I'm going to try that, and it's going to work for them. Like because like I repeat it over and over again. Like nobody is going to respond. Like everybody's not going to respond to the same thing or kind of stuff. So you're going to have people that do respond to that, and that's what works for them, and they grow. But there's going to be a lot of people too that they're like, no, like that's not for me. Like I'm doing it, doing exactly what they said, and I'm getting nothing out of this. Like I feel like I'm going backwards, even kind of things. And it's because it's one of those things of like that's like, okay, this is what you're saying or whatever, but what all is everybody actually doing behind closed doors and like in their own time? This is how I actually train. I have my own gym. And this is what I actually do on my day-to-days or whatever. Like, I'm out here saying for you, like, no, like if you're working out more than 3 days a week, you're doing too much.
Oh yeah, you did. You did two more sets than you should have. You overtrained, you're not going to recover.
Yeah,
you should for the whole year.
You only do freaking 3 sets for like the whole day, but you got to do for 9 warm-ups of everything you do, but only 1 actual set of each exercise and stuff like, and all these other rules and things like that. He's like, you're saying all this stuff, but then in their own personal gym, they're just banging out whatever they can, 6-7 days a week. It's like actuality, like I don't take days off. It's like I'm in here every day, kind of stuff.
Yeah. So my whole thing is like I don't know where it got to the point where like people are afraid to say sets. Right now it's just like how many sets do you do? Because right now the big taboo is saying you do a lot of sets. How many sets do you do? I only do 1 set or maximum 4 sets. You just do 4 sets. Okay, well, what's a set? Okay, well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pick a movement and you're going to do a cluster of repetitive motion, right? And then you're going to do that for about like 12 to 15 repetitive movements, right? So sets? No. They're not repetitions and it's not sets. You're going to pick a movement to stimulate blood flow into the area by doing a cluster of repetitive motion with a certain thing that's going to target the muscles that we're going to do our set on. Okay, well, how many of those do I do? You're going to do 4 of those. So 4 sets. No, they're not sets. We're only going to do 1 set this whole workout. Okay, so what's next? All right, now you're going to pick the actual movement, right? So let's say you do wide grip pull downs for our clusters of repetitive motion. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a actual exercise, and this we're going to do 3 clusters of repetitive motion, and then we're going to do 1 set all the way to 100% failure. And this is the only set you're going to do the whole entire workout. That's it, just the 1 set. And then we're done? No. After this, we're going to do another movement that's going to work out the same targeted area, and we're going to pick a cluster of, let's say, 4 clusters of repetitive motion. So we're doing 12 sets. No, we're doing 12 sets with 1 to failure. 11 sets not to failure, 1 set to failure. No. We're only doing 1 set. If you do 12 sets, do you know how overtrained you're going to be? Like, what are you talking about? Like it's so stupid how people are afraid to talk about how many sets you do. Like, how many sets do you do? I do 24 sets a workout. How many do you take to failure? None. And I don't ego lift either. You want to talk about, and then here's the thing about high intensity training. You're going to ego lift. When you have a logbook and you're doing high intensity training and you are doing progressive overload, that means you're like, okay, on straight bar curls, I did 55 pounds for 8 reps. And then I did 9 and then 10 and then 11 and then 12. Then I went up in weight and I went up in weight. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where you can't do any more reps and you can't add any more weight. That's going to lead you to go, I need one more rep to be able to be successful from last week. And you're going to swing it a little bit to get momentum to get that last rep. And then guess what? Now you're ego lifting, according to Ego Lifters Anonymous, right? That's an ego lift. And then you're going to continuously do this until your form is ugly. And then you realize, oh man, I probably need to change this exercise out finally. And then you're going to do it again and again and again when you chase the logbook, because eventually you're going to hit a wall and you're not going to go any further, right? That's going to lead to ego lifting because you're going to want to bounce a little bit because for good Lord, the sake of the universe, you have to get one more rep to progressive overload. If you don't get at least one more rep or one more pound every time you do that movement, you're not progressively overloading. Therefore, you're not progressing. You say, yeah, but you could do a drop set. You could do a rest pause. You could do a superset. You could just add a whole nother set. I mean, there's other ways to do it, but anyways, the general concept of how people talk about, that's how you progressive overload, and it's going to lead to ego training, right? Supersetting like we do, doing a chest and back movement back to back without rest the whole entire duration, you don't have time to think about like, okay, well, I did 55 pounds last week for 12 reps, so this time I need to do at least 13. No, it's just like I go off the way the weight feels. If the weight is feeling lighter, I'm going to keep going up until I find a weight that's too heavy or it's just right. And I'm going to stick with that weight, and then I might actually start going back down in weight. So I might go 45, 55, 65, 65, 55, 50 because I'm trying to get 8 to 15 reps. So I'm like, oh, that's light. I could go back up. That's light. I can go up again. Okay, that's a little heavy. I think I got another one in me. I got 12 on that one. Oh, I got 8 on that one. My next one, I'm definitely not going to be able to get 8. So I have to go down in weight to make sure I get at least 8 to 15. Oh man, I barely got 10 with that weight. I don't think I'll be able to even get 8 if I do that weight again. So let me go down again and perform another set to get my reps in. You cannot ego lift by definition of that because you're trying to get reps through volume, through repetition. So it's almost, I mean, you still can. I mean, you can still whip it and cheat it, but that's not because you're lifting weight that's too heavy. You're just too exhausted to lift the weight you can handle with perfect form. Therefore, forcing you to go down in weight to prevent the ego lifting, to make sure that the muscle's doing the work and not your momentum of your body. And then it keeps your blood pumping, it keeps your heart racing, it keeps the blood in the muscle, and it shortens down the time. And then when you're done, you feel like you did something, right? You feel accomplished, not just kind of like, man, yesterday I really stretched that bicep so good. I kind of hurt my elbow a little bit. Now my elbow's real tender because I try to get such a good stretch. What I did on the preacher curl benches, I got a towel and I rolled the towel up and I put my arm on the towel so that way I could hyperextend my elbow as hard as I can so I could get a real good stretch on that bicep. And I think I actually dislocated my elbow quite a bit. So I might have to take off 2 weeks of the gym. You know, so it's every training program has its flaws. But the ultimate thing is, what is fun to you? What can you stick to? And what gives you the best results? What you're going to actually enjoy doing and put the most effort into it. That's it at the end of the day. But there's so much dogma of like, oh no, I said the wrong thing and now everyone's laughing at me. Yeah, but when you look like Sam Sulik, you can do cheat reps and you can do partial reps and no one's going to say nothing about it. You look like Jay Cutler. You ever seen Jay Cutler's form? That dude never did nothing straight. I mean, his curls look like this. He never did full range of anything. And people are going to say, oh, Jay Cutler doesn't know how to work out, you know. So you think if he slowed his rep down and got a stretch at the bottom and paused, he would have been a better Mr. Olympia? I don't think he would have been. Like, that's what he liked to do. He stuck to it, and he got him 4 Mr. Olympias. So do what's fun to you. Now, if you're looking like a scared cat when you're doing deadlifts, I'm not saying form's unimportant, because it is very important. That's why I'm talking about the ego lifting. Don't pick a weight that's too heavy that you can't handle in your rep range. Make sure you pick a weight that you can handle in your rep range. And make sure you can... And there's no rules that says you can't go back down in weight, right? Let's say you are doing progressive overload. And then let's say you hit a weight and you're like, oh man, I only got 7, I was supposed to get 10. Well, was that your top set? Well, no, I'm kind of tired today. I got another set. Go down and wait. Drop the weight by 20%, 30%, and then go again. There's no rule that says you can't go back down and wait and keep going. Well, then I'm going to overtrain, though. And overtraining, it's like, well, are you sore when your workout comes back around for that body part? No. Then you're fine. You're totally fine. And then here's a trick, too. If you can, like having a standardized grip test, 315, you put 315 on a bar, you pick it up, you hold it, you count to 20 seconds. If you can hold that for 20 seconds and put it down, your central nervous system's fine. If you're feeling tired or fatigued after 3-4 weeks of training, load the 315 back up, pick it up, and hold it for 20 seconds. If you can't hold it for about 5-6 seconds, yeah, you probably need a break. You probably need to either reduce your volume, reduce your sets, your reps, your loads, and you don't have to take off of the gym, but you do need to throttle back for a week and recover until you can start gripping that 315 for 20 seconds again. Then you know that you're recovered and back up to par. If your muscles aren't sore and your central nervous system is good and you can grip the bar for the same amount of time, you can keep going. And just because you feel tired doesn't mean you're actually tired. You might just be having a lazy day. Because, let's be honest, we probably have more lazy feeling days than we do energetic, high-end, let's go days.
Yeah, one of those, like, what did you do during the day today? Like, every day is not exactly the same. Like, you're not getting the exact same hydration, exact same movement, all that stuff, which I think we've discussed too before. Mm-hmm. So, like, you're going to have days where you feel more out because that particular day, maybe your job, you had to do more demanding stuff. And then other days you get to kind of chill, relax, and kind of hang out a bit more, or just whatever it might be. So yeah, there's going to be differences. And it's like, so certain workouts are going to take a hit than others sometimes, but it's just feeling what you're doing and making sure that what you're doing is working for you to your benefit. So again, like, for me, getting to feel the muscle, whatever, is been a very beneficial thing for me. So that helps me know, like, okay, I'm targeting where I want to. And then over time, I don't have to focus quite so much on that because I know, like, the way that I'm doing the movement is hitting where I want, kind of thing. So that helps me. But to start out a movement and just kind of be winging it, that's when I may not like a movement as much because I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing it right or not because I don't feel it where I need to feel it.
So that's a very good point, right? So starting off really light and then making sure that you feel the muscle exactly where you're supposed to feel it and feel it the way you're supposed to feel it is a good indication, hey, this exercise works for this body part and I feel it. Muscle soreness the next day or two definitely lets you know, like, yes, I definitely hit that muscle because that muscle is sore. If you're not sure if that body part is getting hit hard enough or not, well, you'll know if you're not sore the next day, especially if you're doing a new movement. Then once you find those movements by doing lighter weight, like if you're going too heavy, you may end up not feeling it in your muscle, right? A curl is a curl is a curl, but let's be honest, if you're curling way too heavy on a straight bar curl, your front delts can come into play, your hips can come into play, your back can come into play, your forearms can come. There's a lot of things that can happen that could take the load off of the bicep and just completely eliminate the bicep from doing majority of the work. Now your bicep's doing 40% of the work and everything else is doing the rest of it for you. So picking a weight that's light enough, even if, let's say, you're doing 15-pound dumbbells on curls, but you feel that in your bicep from rep 1 to rep 15 all the way through the whole entire time and it never lets up, that is a good movement for you, right? Now, if you pick a movement and you're like, I don't even feel this in my biceps, I feel this in my forearms, or I feel this I don't even feel this anywhere, I don't even know where I feel this at. Well, find a movement that you feel it. Either lower the weight or increase the weight. Maybe you're going too light or maybe you're going too heavy. If you move the weight up and down and you still don't feel it in that body part, well, then change the exercise out and find the 4 movements or 5 movements that you feel it the absolute best in that muscle. And now you have variety and you don't have to think about that exercise. Like, well, I know when I do these 4 movements for my bicep, I always feel it in my bicep. So even if I'm having an off day and I go a little light because I'm tired or I go a little heavy because I'm feeling amped up, I know it's going to hit my bicep the way I needed to hit it versus just going in there and being like, oh, well, this guy said to do blah, 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 blah. And he's a guru, self-proclaimed expert because he has a big following on social media. So I have to do what he says because I don't want to be the guy that's stupid and doesn't do what everybody else does. Well, it doesn't matter what they do. It matters what's working for you. If you're not feeling that cross-body lat iso cable pull thing, don't do it. Like, it's just silly. I mean, it's just, I don't think I've ever been in any gym and seen anyone doing any silly nonsense like that. But now everyone's trying to find these gimmicky little stupid workouts to be like, oh well, I'm breaking science edge. If you balance a pencil on your nose and you keep it there the whole time while you do side laterals, you're gonna get out of here with that. That's nonsense. You know? Do you feel it in the muscle? Yes. That's a good workout for your body part, for your body type. Mm-hmm. You don't feel it in there? Did you go up on weight and you still didn't feel it? Try to go down on weight, hold at the top for a second or two, and then come down slow. Do you feel that? You don't feel that? Go quick. See if you get the burn then. You didn't feel that either? Change it to something else. Prime example, leg extensions for me. If I do leg extensions slow, if I and lock them out and then slowly lower my legs and then lock it out, I feel it on my knees. The whole time I feel it on my knees. But if I just pump it and don't stop and just move it, just rapid fire, after like 8 to 12 reps, my quads are on fire. They are burning beyond burning. Like I have brimstone inside of my muscles and stuff. And it's no joints. It's all muscle, like belly. That's all I feel. So changing the tempo up can dramatically change up the way you feel it in your muscle. So don't just blindly follow somebody. And then here's the thing too, man. Some people, my God, they disregard everything they've ever learned from their own body's training because somebody else said something. Somebody said something, so it's just like, okay, well, I've been training for 4 years, and I got these principles, and I know this works for me, but because these people said it, I'm going to totally throw all this away, and I'm just going to take what they said, and I'm going to do that because that's what's going to work because, you know, they're a self-proclaimed expert guru. It's like, yeah, but you should have some principles that you know are granted. Like these are like your 10 commandments. Like these commandments shall never be broken for your results. And you can add 5 more, or you can have 5 variants, but to disregard everything that's ever gave you progress and results because some clown has a bigger following than somebody else said to do this, it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm guilty of that. I've done that time and time and time again. And it never produced results. It never gave me any better stimulus or any more muscle or less body fat. All it did was just make me frustrated and irritated that like I didn't get any progress in 3 months of trying this nonsense. So then I just revert back to what I was doing. Then I start getting results. And then these guys, they talk so well. It's just like, let me give that a try. And then it produces nothing. But then me doing the stuff that you're not supposed to do gives me my best results. But now I'm the clown because, you know, I'm not doing what everybody else does. But I'm the one getting results.
For me, I think a good example of like something that I've learned to do better recently is like taking like close grip and wide grip pull downs. Mm-hmm. Like doing those for years, doing them, the weight, I can move the weight. That wasn't the issue, but I wasn't so focused on what I was doing. I was just more focused on moving the weight. So a lot of the time, actually up until recently, every time I would do that, I get maybe 2 sets in or so, depending on how many we were doing. But usually about 2-3 sets in, biceps just hurt. It's like, yep, biceps wore out. Grip's going. It's getting hard to hold on here. And always. And recently, we changed to a style where we were kind of slowing it down, dropped the weight some, and we were doing more of like, instead of just pulling it, focus on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So contracting like the shoulder blade down before I'm starting to bend my arm at all and whatever, I'm bringing my shoulder blades down, rotating, squeezing the back, pulling, and then starting to move my arms and bring the grip down to my chest or bring it down wherever I'm going. And in doing that, my arms didn't fatigue, and I was like, what's going on here? And kept on going, do all my sets, and my arms didn't really fatigue as much. Mm-hmm. It's like it took a lot later, and I was actually able to do more weight in the end without having the fatigue happen and my grip fading and going out on me and stuff. And it was one of those things like I feel it in my back, like I don't feel it in my arms like I did before. I feel this in my back, and it's one of those things of I had to take some time, not worry about where I was starting out with the weight and just like moving the weight, but actually focusing on what I was doing, how to make the movement work for me, mm-hmm. and like what I need to do. And now, like even with what we were doing when we did back recently and we started doing the supersets, I didn't have to focus on it as much. I just knew like this is how I need to move it now. So even though I'm moving quicker, I'm still able to keep that same focus. My arms did fade out a little bit faster this time around, but that's, again, we were going back to back to back on what we were doing, so there wasn't really like a break in between. But it's helped me to be able to focus on what I needed to do, and my grip didn't fade as bad.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. And I don't say put your ego at the door, but like moving the weight around, the reps around, and the tempo around, it plays a part too. Like if you're doing a certain movement and you're not feeling it, like I said earlier, it might be as simple as, okay, change the position of your elbows, change the position of your grip, change the position of your of where your shoulder blades or the arch of your back or the lean of the pull, and then simply adjust how fast you're pulling the weight. Because whenever I pull the weight and then pin it and then slowly negative and then pin it, I'm the same way. I'll feel it in my forearms first. And then after I do that, I start feeling it in my neck. It's just kind of like, oh, I shouldn't feel it in my neck, but I feel it in my spine, like in my vertebrae. Like that's not right. But whenever I move the weight through fluently and I don't stop and pin and I just move it through a full range of motion with no stop, no pause, no hold, no squeeze, no stretch, that's whenever my lats light up and they're burning like fire, just like my leg extensions. The slower I do a movement, the longer I hold the stretch, the worse I feel it in my joints and the less I feel it in my muscle. The more smoothly I move through a repetition and the more fluently I am with the volume of the repetition, with the speed of the repetition, the more the muscle burns. And doing it like that, it's not about how much weight, because like I said, like I'll work up, if I do 6 sets, I'll work up to a certain weight on set 3 to 4. And I might be like on set 4, like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do this for 5 and 6. Then I might do it for set 5. I'm like, no, I barely got 8 reps. I got to go down in weight. And then I'll jump down from, let's say if I'm using the 50s, I might jump all the way down to the 35s. Because it's not about ego. It's not about lifting heavy. It's about, can I pump blood into the muscle? Like, how much blood can I pump into the muscle if I can only do 5 reps? Can you grow on 5 reps? Sure, you can. But everyone talks about time under tension and mechanical, right? Mechanical tension, time under tension. Those are the words, the buzzwords. Mechanical. I'm a mechanic. Mechanical tension and time under tension. These are the buzzwords. Time under tension. Your mechanical tension of isometric eccentric loads, right? Buzzwords, fancy words, pretty words, like feel good when you say these words because I'm smart words, right? But who are the guys that normally do the best in this? The dumb guys that don't even know what any of that is. What do you do? I eat when I'm hungry, and I lift until it hurts, and then I sleep a lot. Oh, and that's how you look like. Well, how much protein do you get? I don't know. Well, what's your routine look like? Oh, I don't know. So you just kind of shut your brain off and go. Yep, shut my brain off and go. Well, it's never really on. So it's one of those things. It just cracks me up. So when it comes down to it, like overthinking it and overanalyzing it is just ridiculous. And these science guys are trying to just get clicks and views from trying to seem like cutting edge, but just listen to your body. Like, do you feel it in your muscle? Are you sore there the next day? Good job. Do you feel it in your joints? No. Stop. Get some help. Don't do that. And I just think a lot of people are just trying to stay relevant, and the whole concept of the game right now is relevancy. Relevant. Sam Sulik, and I don't mean to name drop here, but like he never cared what anyone had to say about his form or reps or style. He just went and did what worked for him, and it worked. And now you have a lot of people copying his style, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be successful, and good for them. I'm great that they can follow him and find success in his style, but it's not going to work for everybody. And there's going to be people frustrated. I'm doing exactly what he's doing. I'm listening to exactly what he's saying, and I'm doing what he's saying. Well, you unfortunately might fall on the side of like the science, slow, control, eccentric, pause, hold, flex, squeeze. That might be your style. Or you might need more of a faster pace. Like right now, we power lift the lower and we athlete the upper. And that's what's working. And that's what I did when I was younger. And that's what I'm doing now. Like, here it is 18 years later. I'm just now figuring it out. Like, wait a minute. I was on to something when I was I went to the gym and just tried to work as hard as I could and leave tired. So.
Words to live by.
Yep. That was a pretty good podcast, man. We've had viewers jumping on and off, but no one's left any comments. And if they did, they're not showing up here. So I think our question and answer didn't really pan out too well because no one asked any questions.
That's fine.
Yeah, we had people.
Still had some good information though.
Yeah, we had people watching though. we had a few people watching. So I think I'm going to end it here. Is there anything else you want to add or bring up or talk? I actually like doing this live. I feel like it's more like, I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't mess up at the beginning quite as much.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't have to do 4 takes.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, when the pressure's on, man, it's time to perform, right?
Yep. You know, gotta get those out now brown cows.
Well, it's just like when I was powerlifting, right? In the gym, there was room for error, but on the platform, you better come like already ready. All the bugs better be worked out and stuff like that. So you show up and you perform, unless you tear your pec off of your tendon in front of an audience of like 150 people, and everyone gets to watch you, get off of the bench press with a completely ripped and separated pectoral.
Still deadlifted after.
Yeah, that was fun. I didn't think I had it. Like, honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to perform after that, because I don't know. We got a few viewers here, but I don't know if any of y'all have ever had a complete pectoral rupture, like ripping your pec completely off the tendon in a powerlifting meet. But it is a exhilarating rush of fear and excitement. But yeah, after doing that, man, I thought that was it. I was going to bomb out the competition. I was like, yeah, I'm done. And then I heard everyone started warming up on the deadlifts, and my flight started going. I heard the banging and clanging. It's just like, wait a minute. I think I could deadlift 195 with a torn pec. There's no way, because I don't have to use my pec. I'm just going to have my arm straight anyway. So I'm going to go, let me just try 135. So I did the 135. Then I was just like, okay, let me do 185. All right. Let me do 225. Okay, 275. And I worked my way up to 525. Everyone in my flight stopped warming up after 405. And I kept going to 525. And they're all just kind of like, dude, like you're deadlifting more than us and you're not even open yet. I'm like, yeah. I told Julia, hey, go put me down for 525 for my opener. And she's like, what? So the judge was like, wait, what? And I opened up with 525. My third attempt pulled 606, which was freaking fantastic. That was a PR for me. And then which if I didn't tear my pec and I didn't tear my hamstring like 5 weeks prior, I wanted to pull 650 is what my goal was. But I was playing it safe because my hamstring, I even squatted way lighter on that meet because I was going to go for 500 in the meet. But I played it safe and squatted 402 because I didn't want to tear my hamstring. My pecs felt relatively healthy, but that's what ended up giving up on me. And then I go ham on the deadlift, and I'm just kind of like, oh, man, maybe that wasn't. But you know what? Let's throw it all out there, because I knew in my heart that was probably my last meet I was ever going to do. So I just wanted to get it all out there. So I was just like, let me leave it on the table, and this is my last one. It's my last one, and last 2 raw, and I pulled that 606, and it was exhilarating, especially with the torn pec, man. That was a rush.
Yeah, and one.
Yeah, and then it's funny too, because like whenever I tore it, one of the bigger guys at the time, I was 270, and it's not like I was small, but he was like 308 plus, big dude, comes walking up to me, and he holds out his hand. He doesn't say nothing to me, just there's a little pill. I didn't know what it was. I was like, yeah, okay. And I took it, it was Motrin. I didn't know what Motrin looked like, so I took it, and I was just kind of like, all right, whatever. And then he comes back, and I have my shirt off, and my chest is swelling up real bad. And he just walks up to me, doesn't say nothing, just rubs his cream on my pec, and he's just looking at me. This will help. Like, all right, yeah, cool, yeah, hell yeah, And it was Tiger Balm, and so he rubbed. So I'm getting rubbed down by this big 300 plus pound dude. I'm 270 and fat and hairy. He's 308 plus, fat and hairy, and he's just rubbing me down, and just like, yeah, this is normal. This is good. This is normal. I like this. This is fine. I'm all right with this. And I had a couple other people come up to me that also had pec injuries too, like, oh man, I showing me their scars. Yeah, I can't do it no more, and blah 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 blah, and that just kind of like wasn't real to me yet. Like, oh man, this might be it for me. But if it is, let me go ahead. And in my heart, I felt like I had a comeback in me. But after I saw what kind of injury I had, and I talked to the doctors, and they told me like, no, this is like, you're done, dude. Like, kind of insight. Oh, doctors aren't always right, but when the tendon separates from the muscle and doesn't come off the bone, that's pretty much it. It's a done deal. Mm-hmm. So, okay, but now I am for real going to end it here, man.
Alrighty.
Is there anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for watching and joining us. For those of you who did, we're going to end it here, and we will see you next Saturday, hopefully, for another live stream. So if you want, you could go ahead and cut the feed on that camera.
All right.
So this is it. Farewell. Good night, everybody. Until next time. No.